See, I think
I think we are on. I see it. Webinar
you
is now
see it,
streaming.
you see
Yeah.
it, because I think it's working for us. So we'll
Okay.
just have to
All
see.
right.
Y'all, if y'all are on, come on in. Come on in, come on in, come on in.
You know, we had technical difficulties and just a mess, but we're here.
We are definitely here. So you do I need to start this off, Mario, or how? Well, okay. So guys, first of all, thank y'all so much for being here with us. We are super excited to be here with you guys here on Real Perspectives, because we are back and we are finally able to get on today. So we want to talk today about, is your divorce, or is the divorce really final, right? As part of our relationship reality series. And the way that this came about is that Mario and I were talking about just some different things that were happening, and we realized that when my job is done, right, for lack of a better word, listen, the ink is dry. The judge is like, hey, you guys are no longer married. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that happens at then, right? So although on paper, your quote unquote divorce is final, there are so many other things that are going on after the fact. So we said, we need to talk about this with our Real Perspectives audience. We're so happy to be back. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we're back better than ever. And so Mario, talk a little bit about, well, first of all, I know you got to do some welcome back thing too, but talk a little bit about as well what you see in your life coaching practice, because I know you deal a lot with people that are dealing with some stuff post-divorce.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, guys, thank you so much for coming back. This second season is going to be off the chain. If you think the first season was good, the second season is going to be better. We have restructured some things and we're really excited about it. And we really thank you guys for all the support you gave us our first year out. And listen, we expect some greater things to happen. So again, thank you and welcome back. Well, yeah, definitely back to our subject. So I have a lot of people that are in what I call relationship recovery. These are people that have recently been divorced, maybe some 2 or 3 years, but they're still in recovery. And so you see the hurt, the pain, you see the rejection, you see the insecurity, you see a whole lot of stuff that they're going through after the divorce, after the breakup. And so I spent a lot of time kind of developing some plans to help them bounce back. And you ask, first question is, how long or how recent is the divorce? Well, some of them are very recent, some not so recent. But what I found out is that a lot of people are still suffering from the effects of the breakup. And so what we do is we go in and sit down and kind of talk through that and develop a plan. But it's amazing, LeTonya, that people sometimes 7 and 8 years are still not only trying to figure out if it was their fault, kind of wanting to be back with the person for real. Because very honestly, a lot of divorces don't end or don't occur rather because the people don't love each other. That's the deepest thing that I pull away from that. That's so amazing to really get into, is that there's still love on both parts, but there's some things that are deal breakers. There's some behaviors that are not acceptable. It's some things that they disagree on, that they cannot coexist together, but the issue isn't love. And so then they figure out, okay, well, listen, we need to break up because this is unhealthy. But it's not about love, though. It's not about love. So they go through the process of getting the paperwork. They come and see you, and they hash all of that out. They get their.
Well, it depends. Whether both people come see me or one person comes to see me depends on where they are in that. Okay, we can't make it work process.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. So I'll just say when they finally decide that they can't do it, then they'll find you and you take them through the legalities. And then my job starts, because there is a mandatory recovery period. It really is. But what I find out is that they really don't have a hatred necessarily, because sometimes even I found that the hatred is masking. It's really masking, it's just the hurt, but it's really not final. I know, in fact, I know some people right now that are still sexually involved after the divorce. It's like they're still intimate. They just can't live together. So it's almost like the divorce is only final on paper, but it's really not final in their hearts. It's not final. They're not really done yet. You know what I mean? They're really not done. And so it creates a different set of problems for them. But it really, for me, it makes it easy, because what I'm able to say to them is, let's not discuss the love part, because it's clear you still love them. So what you've got to learn how to do is to say, okay, I see the decree. I've had someone to show me their decree. We're in a session. They showed me the decree and they're holding on to the decree, okay? Because in reality, they're saying, I still can't believe it because I love them. And that's almost heart-wrenching to me. It's really heart-wrenching, because you wonder sometimes, like, is there anything else that could have helped? Is there anything else, So yeah, it's a deep situation.
So listen, you said a lot. So I want to kind of break down some of the things. What I kept hearing you say is not about love. So one of the things that I want you to address is, what are some of the things that you do see and like that it is about? So that's the other thing. Mm-hmm. But you also just said, like, it's almost, what was the word that you just used?
Which one? You said
we don't know, right? You just said something though that sparked an afterthought that I have since forgotten.
Was it about the maintenance of the intimacy part, but they just can't coexist together?
You said, let's take the love out of it, right? Mm-hmm. Because you said a lot of these people that, and I know you see this all the time, that they can't believe, right, that they have this paper in their hand. And see, just like the paper got you into it, the paper got you out of it. But I really want you to talk about, what are those things though that you see that really it ain't about love, because you still love her. That's what you said. It ain't it clearly is not a love issue, because you still love her. So if that's the case and love is not enough, what are the things that you see outside of love that causes the problem?
This one is really tricky. This one is tricky that I'm about to say. It's the fact that one of the parties cannot stay faithful. They love the wife, if it's the husband, but they cannot just be with one person. And so what I find is that the female is able to make some adjustments, even though she's not happy, but she's able to make some adjustments. But at the end of the day, she's not built that way. And so that becomes the deal breaker. And you know how we talked about, I think something last year we were talking about, but you know what? I love you for real. I love you. That ain't nothing. That ain't nothing out there. But I really love. And you know what I found, LeTonya, is that they really mean it. They mean that they love the person. They really do. But there's a part of them that can't be physically committed to just one person. And so then we say, okay, well, do you believe that they love you? And the answer is yes, they do. But they say, but if you love me, then don't cheat on me. That's like a whole nother dynamic. That's a whole set of problems. Sometimes that even like.
Let me ask you this, because that's deep though. Because do you believe that a person can love and cheat and not be faithful?
Let me tell you something. What you're not going to do.
Listen.
No. What you're not going to.
I also want the people on this feed, though. I need comments, because this is very, very deep. Because we hear that a lot, not just from men, right? Because now, it's some sisters that can't be faithful neither. I'm saying sisters, that's all women, before y'all beat me up, right? But there's some women that can't be faithful either. So I guess my question, and that's my question, like, do you think that love can exist in a cheating environment?
I do. I'm going to get in trouble with this, but I do. Because I know this is going to get me in some real trouble. But you know what? After talking to people for many years now about this subject and counseling them, I truly believe that they do love each other to the degree that they understand love. You see what I mean? I really do.
Exactly.
To the degree. Yeah, to the degree that they understand love, for all they know is that I do love them, but this is a physical issue.
Yeah.
It's not in my emotion, it's physical. And so when I listen to them, that's male and female. And you know what? I listen to them and I really hear their hearts like, yeah, I do love them. That's like the person I want to spend my life with. But I just have a weakness, is what they say. This is male and female. I have a weakness. But when I look into their eyes and I listen to the tone of their voices, when they confess the love for that person, they mean it. Now, I wasn't always on board with that. And that's because of traditional cultural teaching, that if you are committed to one person and you say you love them, then you don't cheat. You do not step out. But when you sit down and you really have time to connect with people and you build that trust and relationship where they can really talk to you, then you say, wow, you know what? That's coming from a pure place. They are really purely in love with this person, but they do have an undisciplined physical issue where they cannot be content with one person. Now, personally, I believe that is because we start out having sex outside of the confines of marriage in the first place. We're not accustomed to. When we're young and we start getting sexual, we're having multiple partners for the most part. Now, that's not everybody. I know some of the saved people out there, you know what I mean? Y'all keep yourself, you know?
They're going to get that crown. They're going to get that crown in heaven. You know,
absolutely. But for those that, you know, tipped out when they were younger, got involved sexually, you start having multiple partners and your body actually gets trained for variety. It really becomes trained for variety. And so going down the aisle or going into what is called a holy matrimony never guarantees that the body becomes disciplined. That's a decision that has to really be made when people come together. And so what I've learned, though, is that I don't discount or judge a person when they say, but I do love them. When I hear it, LeTonya, honestly, I had to really go back and I had to repent because I think I had been judgmental toward people that would say that, because I felt the same way. Like, yo, if you love me, then you're not going to cheat on me. It doesn't feel good, and it does feel like betrayal. However, only the person knows if they really love you or not. And so it's hard to fathom because you're in pain. And that may not be your behavior, but it is the other person's behavior. So I think that, I think that you have to take love out of that for a moment and really get to figure out, like, why then do you believe that you guys cannot coexist together? And it's not just the infidelity issue. Sometimes it's core values. Like when you first start dating, everybody seems to be a little bit on their best behavior. But then when you start, getting deep into the relationship, you find out, wow, I didn't know you believed like that. And that thing grows and grows and grows and grows. But again, that ain't got nothing to do with love. That's a value issue. And so I think that that's what we have to deal with. Those are value issues.
Yeah, I understand. I can't say that I agree, because here's the thing. If you know, either way, right? Either you are the person with the problem, or I think that if you know that you're the person with the problem, or that you're not going to stand for, or you don't want to be in a relationship with someone that is with somebody else, right? You gotta be honest about that up front, right? If you know, like, yo, I can't be faithful. I have no intentions of being faithful in the sense of not cheating, right? But I do all this other stuff, right? I'll be with you. I will respect you. I do all that. As the person who is receiving that information, you gotta be willing to walk away if you know that that's a deal breaker. I mean, am I being ridiculous about that?
No, I don't think you're being ridiculous, LeTonya, and I see where you're coming from, but here's the thing. You make a very good point. But I think we have to be honest that a lot of females actually know that. what I found out is that there are a lot of females, when they meet these guys, how they met them, they know that that's their behavior. They realize that they're in the rotation. But, there's this hope they keep alive that, if I'm really a good person and I'm taking care of them, I got their back, maybe I'll be the person. It comes from an honest place. I believe that it comes from a space where you really believe that the female really believes that, or the male believes that, because he feels like, I'm going to be I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to get her back. I'm going to watch out for her. I'm going to make sure she's safe and secure. And they really believe, well, no, she won't do me like that. But it's just not true. And I believe that they have an ability to believe that they can change this behavior. I honestly have sat down with people that honestly said, I knew that they were a whore. I knew they were a player, but I just felt like, you know what, they're going to change because, they're getting older and I did everything that I was supposed to do. So this will be different. That comes from a very honest and pure place, but it just doesn't change the person because that's who they are.
So, okay. Now, the good part about having that background, and this is what I heard from an objective standpoint, is that you really got to see like who you're dealing with, right? Mm-hmm. Who am I dealing with at the end of the day, right? I know that this person is a player. I know that this and that, right? So if I know that, I'm in some ways accepting that as part of the marital covenant, right? Because I believe you get a person as you find them, going back to my law school days, right? Mm-hmm. It was always this scenario about the car accident with the pregnant woman who loses her baby as a result of a car accident that you caused. And the person who caused the accident is saying, but I didn't know she was pregnant.
Yeah.
Right? But you was drinking though. And so you caused the accident. Therefore, now you have killed this child. Why is that? What's the correlation? The correlation is you find your dude or you find your girl as they are. Mm-hmm. Right? This ain't saving souls, right? You ain't catching them and cleaning them. Like, you have to ask yourself, am I cool with this person as is if they never change? Can I deal with this? Am I cool with this for the rest of my life if it stays the same? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, I don't think you need to marry that person.
I agree.
But you got some people that fall in love will get married with all that.
They do. And some people like the challenge. Believe it or not, some people actually like the challenge of that. I didn't believe that at first until I really started sitting down, doing life coaching and really sitting down. I kind of knew a little bit in my pastorate. But I really found out, even in a deeper sense, that people kind of get off on the challenge of being with the person who's hard to get, and I think that sometimes they already know, and then I think we have to look at also, when you talk about marriage, culturally, our views on marriage have changed. People kind of go in realizing that at any given moment, we can cancel this. At any given moment, we can get out of it. It doesn't matter. You don't really hear people talk a lot about now. I'm not saying everybody, but some people believe it's until, death do us part. Then some people don't. Some people kind of go in saying, I just want a wedding at least one time. I've heard that from a lot of people, that I just wanted to at least be married one time. I wanted a wedding one time. And so I learned to kind of accept that, okay, that's your position. I won't judge you. And I get that's your truth. So what I'm doing now is I'm allowing people to speak their truths. That's really it. I don't have a right to impose that. Are you crazy? I have to hold that because I don't think that way. But there are a lot of people who honestly feel like I just want a wedding.
Well, you got to hold it because you are a life coach and therefore in a position of not really giving an opinion.
Absolutely.
You have to guide them through their own truth, whether it's foolishness or not. I get paid to be the devil's advocate, right? And be like, is that really smart on your end? Yeah. Now, and the reason I'm saying that is because even premarital, right? Now we are incorporating these legal conversations. Mm-hmm. There are people that are getting married later in life. So they may not necessarily want a prenuptial agreement, but they got to talk about this. You know why? Because after the divorce, right? Like the question says, is your divorce really final? You got the paper, but now what else is going on? Because think, like you said, there are a number of other things. Okay, infidelity aside, because if this person was doing that before the marriage, and so now you're in a divorce, you're still going to have this soul tie with that person, right? Because
yes,
you're in that marital type of situation with them. So a lot of this is betrayal, and people want to fight about stuff that really is, I mean, ridiculous, right? It's like, okay, who bought the silver?
Right.
It doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or okay, why does it matter if, little Johnny goes here versus there, right? Your other person they done moved on. So let's push back a little bit and say, okay, so they got the decree in hand, right? They split separate homes, right? Now, one party want to date. One party got a girl, or the girl got a guy. Now, for purposes of our conversation, let's say it's not the person that they cheated with. Let's say that the relationship ended in cheating, and it ain't that person. It's somebody new. So you don't have no independent beef with this person, right? What have you seen, though? Because these are all residual problems after the divorce. Right. Absolutely. It's okay long as you're not dating nobody, right? Or whatever. But now you're dealing with a situation where, well, they're dating. Or better yet, let's say that you just separated. The divorce ain't final. And so done moved on. Talk about that, because see, you're the life coach. Because I can already tell you how some of that stuff will go down on the legal side, but I don't want nobody taking what I say and going to use it. Right. In the divorce proceedings. But talk a little bit, though, about that. Like, how do you deal with those situations, right, where there either is a decree or there's a filing and they're waiting, and now the other person wants to date? How does that scenario come up? How do you really deal with that?
So let me make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying that the divorce is not quite final yet, though, right?
Two different scenarios. Okay. One, let's start with, because we're talking about the divorce is final. The divorce is final. They have the decree in hand, and now this person has moved on. So let's say, for sake of what we're saying, they are 10 days out from the finalization or whatever that date is on the court order, right? Okay. So your divorce was final on the 1st. Today is the 11th, right? And they full on in a relationship. Tell me about that scenario.
That's always a very difficult moment. It's a very difficult moment, because what I've found out is that when they are in there hashing out custody agreements and hashing out who bought the silver, who gets the sofa and all of that stuff, they're still in the heat of the negotiation. You see what I mean? There's still kind of that adrenaline over the negotiation, and the custody thing is very, very, very high. So they haven't had a chance to come out of that high yet. Okay, so once it's done and everybody's seemingly satisfied with the material and the child stuff, all of a sudden now this person is dating. What I've really watched happen is that the emotionalism kicks into overdrive, because then it becomes reality. I've watched even brothers, men, really suffer, and we're not talking about psychotic people now. We're just talking about really normal people. What I've seen happen is that some men get very depressed, or they go out and try to create a relationship to ease that pain. I've seen it where someone's been sitting on a session and they said, I ran up on them at the mall and I just lost it, you see. And I understand that moment, because at that particular moment, that thing now has really become a reality. That's when it's real. That's when you need me. Because now,
listen, they better call you. They better call you from their cell phone before they start knocking people's windows out.
Yeah, definitely. Because
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
Interesting question in the chat that I think goes along with what you're saying. Is there a difference between loving someone and being in love? Because I hear this distinction all the time.
Right.
So
I think it is. From my, this is just my opinion, because I guess I've learned so much about how people define love, and in love is so individual. It is not a blanket. It's not a blanket definition. It really depends on how they've seen love, how they've experienced love, who taught them about love. Did they see healthy relationships? What they have experienced. It is so individual. It is almost a tailored definition for each person. It has so much to do with their history. And so I really can't say that there is a difference. My opinion is there is a difference between being in love with a person versus loving them. Because I think that you can love a person and not have any desire to go any further with them. You don't desire intimacy with them, yet you like their company. You love them. There's nothing in your heart that's negative about it. And maybe y'all have been together. That's what a lot of people won't discuss is I thought I was in love with them, but once we got together, I started realizing I love them, but not in love, I guess. I really didn't feel intimacy. I just didn't feel like I wanted to be with them like that. But at first, it was great. I thought I was. You know why? Because when you start learning all of the quirks, all of the intricacies, you find out we ain't really got that much in common. I think also it depends on how you all got together. If you on a breakup, if you rebounding, you know what? Everything's going to be heightened. Everything's going to be beautiful because you're trying to ease that pain. And so I think that there is a difference depending upon who the person is. So for the listener, whoever left that, I think that you have to define what does love mean to you, and then what does in love mean to you. Is that something that you can distinguish on a personal level? Is that something that you can really dig into and say, this is how I behave when I'm in love, and this is how I behave when I just love a person? And it's individual. That's the thing that's so difficult. A lot of times I'm telling you too, because when we come together, we talk about everything but the issue of what do you think love is? What do you see love as being? And how do you act when you're in love? Is that different for you? That's a real important conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we should not be, we as people who date, let me say that, should not be afraid to teach people how to love us.
Absolutely.
Right? And if your love requires me to do something that I ain't going to do, I'm not the person for you. Like, we got to be willing to say, like, yeah, that ain't going to work for me. And have that mature conversation. Like, you ain't got to part ways with somebody just as part of like some drama. Right. Now, it doesn't mean, like you said, you don't care about that person, you don't enjoy their company. But at the end of the day, there are certain things that you just got to say. And I'm not even talking about cheating. I'm just talking about other stuff. Like, just be honest and just say, you know what? This don't work. Now, that don't mean that if you roll up or you see them with somebody that is not going to feel or sting a certain type of way, because it is, right? Because that, you know, you kind of like, well, that could have been me, right? You know, what is bad? But at the end of the day, when you are a person that says, I am looking for someone that can love me the way I need to love. And I'm going to tell you why I'm just saying love and not being in love. Okay. Right? Because in love is a state and status. Love is constant.
That's right.
You love, you just love, right? It's that thing. It's ever present. But I think when you are in love, you can also be out of love.
Absolutely.
Right? So because of that, that's why I'm saying it that way. But I say all that to say this. I think we have to be very mindful. And what you said was so crucial to this. Love is so individual. If your family communicates in a way that there are givers and takers, right? There are people that are exploiters, right? And there are the exploited. If that's your idea of how family works, and you understand that this is how we communicate and love each other, then everybody in your footpath is going to bear the brunt of that. Absolutely. One way or the other. Either you're going to go after people that exploit you, or you are going to be the exploiter in a relationship until you start to recognize and see and learn better. Right? Absolutely. If you grow up with a bunch of narcissists, hint, hint, you know what I'm saying? You're going to end up, that's what you attract, right? You're a magnet for a bunch of narcissists. Right. And if that person doesn't exhibit that, it's going to be, they're not necessarily speaking a language. And lots of times you don't even know it. And so when we look at this thing on the other side of a divorce or any, I call it high level breakup, meaning, you know, this is somebody that you really care about and you really wanted to be with, you know, not some joker that don't matter. So when you're looking at that level, you have to then ask yourself, okay, what happened? And you got to look at you. So that's what most of us don't want to do.
That's right. Absolutely.
You know, is this something I knew early on that they had a tendency of doing this? Was I a rebound?
Absolutely.
Where were they?
That's
like, I got a policy, right? Let me just put this out there, Facebook land. Right? I have a policy. I don't want you right after you done got divorced. Dog some folks out first. Because that's what you're going to do.
Absolutely.
Right? Have your mind together.
And listen, let's stop right there because that's a good piece. Listen, we love y'all for real. And we're going to tell you now, do not be the person that you allow somebody to rebound with you. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a recipe for disaster. And listen, because I'm telling you, I've seen people with a social worker mentality. You know, they want to be nurses. They want to heal them and all this kind of stuff, but they're too damaged. It's too early. And you owe it to yourself. Trust me when I tell you, you owe it to yourself to say not now. I don't care how fine they are. I don't care how desperate you are. You need to quell that and just say no, because I already know how this is going to end. Because this is the thing. Just because we talk about is a divorce final, just because they got the decree does not mean they're done with each other.
Listen, most of the time they're not. Most of the time, and this is both my this is really my professional opinion. I had to fix that light because it was glaring. Yeah. Most of the time they're not done, right? But I want to go through some comments real quick because we got some good comments. I want to look at this, y'all, because y'all doing good right here. Let me see. So someone says, can you not choose to be different from your upbringing? Are we just making excuses? Some people thrive on hurting others. Yeah, I think that there is a choice that you can make from to say, I'm not going to do things the same way. But from some of this stuff is innate, right? If you've never learned anything else, you do not know that you're doing these things, right? And so if this is how you receive and give love, that's just one of those things that's innate. And sometimes you got to have somebody like a life coach, you know, for example, to help you work through that process, because these are people that can challenge you because they ain't got no, you know, they ain't got no skin in the game, right?
You're right. They ain't no stakeholder. They're not a stakeholder for real. And let me say this, though. I think that I understand what the person is saying, that it seems like we can make that choice. But when you're talking about someone who was raised very differently from you, you are acting like you were raised, believe it or not. As much as you want to change, there's still some residue of your culture. It's a cultural thing. Now, there are some things that certainly we work hard to shed that we don't agree with, we don't believe in anymore. But when you're talking about love and emotions, it's a lot deeper than stopping something that I reference as being topical. See, when it comes to love and it comes to caring, it comes to being vulnerable, that's something that's on a much deeper level. And it's not as easy as saying, oh, well, you're making an excuse that you just don't want to change. You can do better. You can do better than that. You can love me. But what if, and this is what I always ask, but what if they are still a good person, but unable to meet you at the point of your need? Why are you forcing them to love you in that dimension when they're saying to you, I don't have that? That's really, I see so many people trying to force somebody to love them when they're telling you, yo, that ain't me. I can't do that. You can't force them and you can't dog them out and tell them they can change and they can do better when what they're saying to you is, I wish I could. I wish I could. And I tell my clients all the time, you need to be honest and say, you know what? I really wish I could do that. I really wish I could meet you. But you know what? Real honestly, I'm not going to be able to keep this up. Even if I try, it'll be short term. It'll be short term.
I have told people, bruh, I just don't know that I can do that.
Yeah.
And That's probably why I'm single, right?
Yeah, I mean, me too.
But real talk, it's better to be honest and preserve the relationship, the friendship, the whatever, y'all got going on. But that's somebody else that Leroy McKenzie Jr. says, some people aren't ready for their next relationship. More people need to take that time to heal before they move on to the next. But see, that some people don't know how to do that.
Yeah, they don't.
They constantly have to have somebody. And here's the thing, if you know that you need to heal, but you that person that's got to have somebody, just be honest. Look, I don't want nothing serious.
Right.
And take every precaution necessary to make sure that you ain't hooked into something you don't want to be hooked into. Now read between those, however y'all want to read between them.
Absolutely.
But the bottom line is don't create permanent situations out of temporary problems.
You know what, LeTonya, one of the things that
temporary situations.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I found out, and this was very interesting when I first heard it, and it was actually from one of the college students I used to that was at my church many years ago. They were in a program I had, and one of the things that they suffered with and struggled with is they said, I cannot sleep by myself. I cannot be in the bed alone. And that was a real serious cry for them, is that I don't necessarily want a relationship, but I don't want to sleep alone. I'm accustomed to having somebody in the bed with me, and it has to be someone that I can be intimate with, but I don't want a relationship. Well, that opened up a dynamic of understanding for me, is that people have different habits. And, they're saying, yo, I know I'm not about to commit to anything. But the other person is saying, but yo, you want me in your bed every night. But I'm thinking that we kind of making some progress or whatever. And honestly, they're not. I think everything goes back to having the ability to be honest. But if you were never taught to communicate how you feel in your emotions, how you feel internally, without judgment, without fearing being judged, then when you get grown, what makes you a great communicator? You're not going to be a great communicator because you've been accustomed to a particular way of communicating, which oftentimes is through negligence, silence, avoidance, all of those things. So you're looking at, again, emotional intelligence. And so, again, that's why we can't say, and I think that the person who is a recipient of a person who can't give them that level of love that they need has to be also honest enough to say, I need to pull out for me.
Yeah.
Because I know that even if I marry you now, we are going to end in divorce. And we may have great sex. We may like going to the movies and all that stuff. But deep down inside, we cannot coexist together. So now we're going to end this divorce. But and I want to look back around to this, is that really first coming out of it, what I find is that these couples actually are still sexually involved for many years sometimes. Even if they move on to somebody else, they have little rendezvous. They still come together because you know what their problem wasn't? Sex. That wasn't their issue. They can still do that. And that's where they mesh, And so the person that is now getting into that relationship has to ask very pointed questions. Are you done sexually with them? I see your decree. I checked your decree out and your decree checks out. But I need to know in your lower extremities, I need to know, I need to know if they got divorced. I need to know, did they sign anything? Did they come into agreement with the divorce? Because oftentimes it's not the truth. And that's a very hurtful moment. That's a very hurtful moment. Now, let me add this. I don't know what the people are saying in the comments because you're managing them, but I will say this. It's particularly easy for that to still occur where there are children involved. When they've got to go over and visit the kids or pick them up, it's been my experience that that's normally the way it happens because you come back into that environment and all of those memories flood you again. And it's easy to go ahead and do that again, but y'all can't be together. So I think that
y'all better stop going over her house.
Yeah, meet at a public place, meet at the McDonald's.
House. Meet that girl at Target, supermarket,
yes,
parking lot,
at McDonald's. That's right, Mcdonald's, Chick-fil-A, anywhere.
As a matter of fact, let your mama drop the kids off. Right?
Let your mama drop them off.
And let your daddy pick them up.
That's right. That's right.
Wrong. But right though, and I know people that have been in that very situation. And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the kids. They just feel like, oh well, as long as we are intimate like this, they can't move on. It's a hook.
Yeah.
Right? It's a hook. And that's why you notice that when some people are married, they've been married for a few years or even many years, they come to find out that they're still having those relations with the ex.
Absolutely.
They never stop.
They never stop.
They always continue to do that.
That's the truth. And you know what? And that's why I'm saying tonight, there is no judgment, but it is our desire tonight to kind of give you some insight that, when the divorce is final on paper, it's not always the same way in their heart, though. It's not finished in their heart because they truly do love that individual. And particularly when they have created kids together and spent some time together. And then they just, for whatever those reasons are, decided that, this isn't working anymore. But I still am attracted to you. I still have these feelings for you. It doesn't mean that the decree does not signify finality of the heart. It just doesn't, but that's a very serious conversation that every person that is going to meet or try to date a divorcee needs to really sit down and say, let me give you space to be very honest to me. And I think that this is how I always tell people to forge that conversation. Sit down with them and tell them there is no judgment here. I just need you to be honest with me. I want you to feel free to tell me if you and your ex are still kicking it. How do you feel about her? Am I a rebound? I ain't that precious and that fragile that you can't tell me the truth. But you got to be ready to hear the truth. He may say, yeah, well, every now and then I go smash. I do. You can't fall apart. You cannot fall apart.
So let's play this out. This role play. Let's do this. Let's do this. Right. Okay. So I'm the next chick, right?
Okay.
You fourth, right? I'm the next chick. So set the scene. We at dinner. We at the house. Like, where we at?
We're sitting at a restaurant.
Place.
We're sitting at a restaurant.
All right.
We got a nice meal, glasses of wine. It's relaxed. Okay. All right. So everything's mellow and nice. And nobody really knows we're about to have this conversation, though. Nobody knows. But it's on your heart because I'll play the one who's divorced. I just got divorced.
Okay.
And you need to have this conversation because you've been thinking about it. All right. And you're trying to engage me and say, I really want to talk to you about something. Okay, take it from there.
Thank you. This is such a beautiful place. But there are some things I want us to talk about. Mm-hmm. I just really want to know, what is the situation with you and your ex? Because I'm just getting some mixed signals or some vibes. Not really sure what's going on.
Oh no, they ain't nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? No, what you mean? I'm through with her.
You through with her?
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We divorced. You saw, I showed you the paper.
I mean, yeah, you showed me the paper, but are you done? Because I just feel like.
I mean, what you mean? When you say, am I done? What you talking about? What you mean? What you mean?
Well, I mean, your interaction with her is like you're still in a relationship. She's still texting you all hours of the night.
Oh no, that be about the kids, man. That be about the kids. No, I ain't nothing like that. She be texting me when them kids need something or something. Oh no.
Yeah, but y'all already have that planned out. She texts you. There's always something going on. She been in my DM on Instagram.
No.
Yeah, she did, and she
sent me crazy.
She sent me a Facebook message, and so I mean, you just need to be honest with me because look, that's your ex-wife. Y'all got kids together. I get it, right? You're gonna always have to have some type of relationship with her, but not at my expense. So I just need to know what's going on.
So what'd she say? I mean, what'd she say when she came in your DM? I mean, did she tell you something? What did she say?
No, I'm asking you what the situation is. It doesn't matter what she said. I'm asking you.
Oh man.
I already addressed what she said. So she and I already got to understand it. So the DM ain't gonna happen no more. And I didn't block her.
Oh man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all right, I'm going.
Please, check.
No, hold on. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Hold on. Like me and her still kind of kick it every now and then. I'm gonna be real with you.
What kicking mean?
I mean, come on, man. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't know what kicking mean.
I mean, kick it.
Kick it like what? Like me and you? Like how we kick it?
Something like that. But I mean, you know, that's just because that's familiar.
Like then why y'all break up then? If y'all still kicking it, y'all still doing the same thing y'all was doing when y'all was married. I mean, you already paying her alimony, you already paying child support, you taking care of her, you taking care of the kids, you sleeping with her, you her husband then, right?
Man, you gonna mess up the nice dinner like this, man? It ain't nothing. I mean, we done. I divorced her. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm telling you is like, that's nothing. That's nothing.
You divorced her, but y'all still won. And you know what I mean. Check, please.
Okay, right there, Tonya. Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. Indeed, right there. That's how the thing go down.
That's how the thing go down.
That's how the thing go. Yeah, that's how it go down.
And listen. And this is why we wanted to do this little role play, y'all. Y'all gotta understand, you have to be up front.
Definitely.
Because at the end of the day, if that person wanna gamble, let them gamble with full information so you don't find yourself on the short end of the stick.
That's right.
Messed up with a wine glass upside your head at some restaurant. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This girl slid in the other girl DM. So and listen, these are real life scenarios that we both see. Like people sit and talk about this in our, respective consultations. So for y'all, we want y'all to understand, like, this is really real. And we're not talking about millennials. We're talking about our age group.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Franklin 40 and up group.
That's it. And my thing is that I will say this. I recognize the sensitivity of having that conversation. It's not an easy one to have. Because a lot of times it's risky because you're thinking that I don't really want to know the truth, but I need to know the truth. And so it is a hard conversation to have from either party. But I think out of respect and out of being honest, you need to go ahead and have it. So if we can help you like formulate that and feel confident when you ask those questions, because you have a right to know, but you got to be ready for the answer. And you have to be ready to make a decision also about what you're going to do about that. That means you can't play around with it thinking that, oh, well, I'll just wait it out and he'll stop. You can't compete with that. Because remember, the one thing, LeTonya, that they have is history.
Yeah.
They have history, and history is very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And they have a future, especially if they got kids.
Oh, definitely.
It ain't just the past.
Definitely.
But this is really a good thing that I want to get to.
Okay.
That I think is really, well, a couple of things. And I'll read them both, and you let me know which one you want to address. And this will be the last thing that we're able to address. So the first one is, what about the person who wanted that person so bad and knew they were married? ? Now they have them and see it was a big mistake. So that's the first one. The other one is there anything wrong with being friends after the divorce? If you were friends before the divorce, why be angry?
I can address both of those real quickly. We must define friends. It's not necessary to be angry to disconnect, but there has to be a line of demarcation if both parties are moving on to someone else. So friends have to be, really clarified, because remember now, again, it's going to be hard to explain that to the person that they start dating. And you have to be honest about how you're going to feel about them dating someone else too. I believe that you can be cordial. And I do believe that there is something that can happen in the area of maintaining being cordial or what have you. But when you talk, some people think friends mean with benefits. That has to be clarified. And you got to always make the new person feel assured that that's not what that is. Because let's just be honest, we know that goes down like that. And so it may create an insecurity in the person that is new to this union. And so you have to really take responsibility to clarify that and go the extra mile to say, let me prove to you that you ain't got to be suspicious every time. I believe that you don't have to be mean. I don't believe you have to be mad to break up. I don't. The second thing was, what was the second one? The other one? Oh, when you finally get them and find out you don't want them anymore. Well, listen, hey, that happened every day. That's just an everyday thing. You still, you really don't know anybody for real, because when we first meet, we are all on our best behavior. That's just the truth. But it's not until you really start spending time with them that the core value system is exposed. So you may have desired them based upon what they showed you. Because remember, everybody is probably giving a Photoshop image and an edited story. So when you get in there and you start watching the behavior on a day-to-day basis, and you watch their integrity, and you watch those things that are core value issues, and they don't match up to your standard, you may figure out, you know what? I'm good. That's really unavoidable. It really is. It's just unavoidable. So you really shouldn't punish yourself over that. You shouldn't feel bad about that or make it bigger than it is, because you never know until you get involved. So don't make a bigger deal of it than it is. And it's okay to have that discovery moment. You know what I mean? That's just it.
Yeah. And the other thing too, to address those sort of together, is that you always have to be willing to walk away. And I don't want to make everything seem like about business, but relationships are like negotiations, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody coming because they giving something, but you really coming to get. Yeah. I mean, let's just be real, right? You're coming to get that thing that you need, or the stuff that you don't have, right? But you also asking yourself, does the other party to the contract have the capability to fulfill the terms that I need in the way that I need it done?
Absolutely.
Right? So and if you think about it in that, you got to just be objective. You've watched them, right? They put their bid in. You know what I'm saying? And they gave you all the numbers.
Put that bid in, baby.
Good, right? But in the contract world, they take the lowest responsible bidder.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that in relationships, right? We have to look at is these 15 things that I need and 22 that you got to deal with.
Yeah.
Right? Because those are my flaws. So how do all of those things mesh? Number one. Number two, I think that you can be on good terms. You don't have to be friends. See, to me, a friend is somebody very close to me that I can have intimate conversations with. I'm talking platonically, right? I can share things with you. You can see me cry, and I don't have to worry about the picture being on Facebook or the video. Right. I don't have to worry about you being on a video talking about it, right?
Yeah.
So to me, if I can't trust you in a marital relationship, I'm for damn sure ain't gonna trust you as my friend.
Well, how about that?
You see what I'm saying? Because to me, I see friend here, marriage here.
Yeah.
So if I can't trust you here, I can't trust you there neither.
Absolutely.
And so, because at the end of the day, you don't have the luxury of being my friend. Now that's a LeTonya-ism. I'm not telling other people to be that way, but that doesn't mean that I would not be friendly. I mean, I've dated people that honestly, the relationship, it was like being with a monster, and they probably saying the same thing, right? But we are cordial. Hey, how you doing? Because at the end of the day, that's where it's at. I speak and go on. They speak and go on, and it's all good. And there's no issues with the next couple of folks, that came behind them or anything like that. And so I think you have to be very careful that you're not trying to hold on to something. And let we friends and no, that ain't your friend.
And Tonya, let me add this. When we talk about love, I think that's when you're able to display love, when you're able to release that person to go on. To me, that's a demonstration of love. You see that you recognize that, you know what? I have no beef with you. I have no hatred. I have no evil in my heart, but I love you so that I want you to be happy. So I'm not going to interfere. I'm not going to try to maintain something with you and make the other person that you're about to date jealous. I'm not about to be, petty. I'm not going to do any of those things because I do love you. I don't think that a person can say that they love you, and then when you move on and you're with somebody else, they try to destroy that and say that they love you, yet they don't want you. And they're clear they don't want you. That's not love. That's not love.
Absolutely. So guys, thank you guys so much for being here with us. You know, you never know how the first night back is
Right.
going to work. So I do appreciate everybody, or we appreciate everybody for being active, asking your questions, giving us a chance to kind of talk about it. This is our first night back, but we are going to be here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are going to be going live. Go to the Real Perspectives TV show Facebook page. Make sure that you like the page, but also, you know, give us a review because we love that. But you can also inbox us show topics, things that you'd like to hear us talk about.
Yes.
If you'd like to be a part of the show, because this year or this season, we definitely want to start pulling other people in so that we can really have a really good conversation to share with you guys. And so before we leave, Mario, look, this show area in the house, right? I take them to the paper. You take them beyond the paper. So what's some parting words before we let everybody go tonight?
Be so true to yourself. Whatever you do, be authentic, own your feelings. You know, don't feel ashamed to own how you feel, and you don't have to adjust that for anybody else. Live your truth. And if you know something on the front end, do not think that later on you can change a person, or that you start trying to change yourself when it's not authentically who you are. You owe yourself more than that. So I think that would be my parting words. Like if a person tells you that, you know, they can't do something, don't force it. Let that be, and you move on, because it'll preserve your life.
Awesome. So I'm going to encourage you guys, whether it's people that are listening live, you're on the replay, or if you know somebody, share this video with them. We did a lot of joking and things like that, but these are really real world issues that people struggle with, and it is very difficult for them to get past. And sometimes the rest of their life from a relationship standpoint is shattered. So I'm just encouraging everybody, go to mariocbrown.org. He ain't gonna say this because he's too modest, but this is really serious. Go to mariocbrown.org, set you up a free confidential consultation, because you know you may not want to subscribe long term to a life coach or anything like that, but to be able to talk to somebody that's impartial, that's required to keep your information confidential. I think for lots of people, that's the difference between, you know, some people being here and not being here. And Absolutely. So we want to make sure that in season 2, as we move forward, that we are giving you guys some practical tools that you can use. We have fun, we talk about relationships, but we want to make sure that you have a steady resource that's available to you to help you with the things that you need. And so until next time, guys.
Oh, let me say this one more thing. I'm sorry. Don't forget that you don't have to be in the same city with me. All of my services are virtual, so it doesn't matter where you are. I got clients in Germany, Italy, and listen, we can always get you on the virtual set like we are now, but it's confidential and private.
Awesome. So thank you guys so much. Don't forget, go over like the Real Perspectives TV show Facebook page. And so until next time, have a good night.
Good night.